welcome to the final session of Unit 4. And in this session, we'll be looking at care of optical components in the physics laboratory. My name is Patrick Ej. At the end of this session, you should be able to state the common causes of unsatisfactory performance of optical components in the physics laboratory and explain how to care for the optical components in the physics laboratory. And in previous session, we saw that the optical components include lenses, mirrors, prisms, that is the rectangular prisms, the glass components. So these optical components, which are normally used for the light experiments, how do we care about them? So one of the common causes of unsatisfactory performance of optical components like the lenses, the mirrors, the prisms is dust. And this results from the exposure of the instrument or the component to air for a longer period of time. And so to avoid the dust, we must cover the optical component when it is not in use. So always make sure that the lenses should always be in their slots when they are not in use. The rectangular prisms should be in their packages or the boxes. They should be covered with the various materials when they are not in use. And if it is already covered with dust, then it may be removed using a soft cloth. We can use the camel's hair brush, and we can also use the special lens paper. So the material has already been covered with dust. What do? Don't go for a hard material to clean the surfaces of the optical instruments, as that will also introduce scratches on the surface of the material. Now, one other cause of unsatisfactory performance of the optical instruments we use in the laboratory is grease. And for that reason, we should not allow them to settle on the surfaces of our optical instruments. But the question is, how does grease get into contact with our optical instruments in the laboratory? Now, note that anytime you touch the surface of the optical instrument with your fingers, you introduce grease onto the surface. And for that reason, you should always handle these instruments in their right position. And to remove this grease, once you make contact with the surfaces of the instrument, rub the optical surface gently with a lens paper. And lenses and mirrors should be handled carefully at the rim. So I'm holding a coin in my fingers. I'm holding a coin. Now, if this coin is a lens, then this is the right position as I'm holding it. At the edges should be how you must handle the lens. The lens should not be handled this way. Now, the moment you handle it this way, you introduce grease on the surface of the lens. So always the right position should be at the edges. Now, if it is a prism, so let's assume this is a prism. Now you observe that for prism, we look through the edges here. So the edges are the places that are of importance to us. So anytime we are handling prisms, if it is rectangular, then we must handle them at the top in this way, like you are seeing this. You are not supposed to handle this edge. Now when you handle this edge, you now introduce grease to the side that you are going to hold. So always the right position is to hold it in this position. Now another cause of unsatisfactory performance of our optical instrument is scratches. And for that reason, we must ensure that these scratches are not found on the surface of the optical instrument. Because once they are found, they destroy the sharpness of the image, and sometimes they appear in the image as well. So you want to perform an experiment using a lens, and the surface of the lens is having scratches. You realize that the scratches on the surface are going to spoil or destroy the kind of image. You are not going to see a sharp image that is being formed. And sometimes too, the scratches may also interfere with the image that will be formed. And there are times these scratches are also caused by hard materials. So as a teacher, you must ensure that they do not come into contact with objects that can easily scratch the surfaces, such as metals. So in their storage, you must keep all objects, particularly metal objects, away from optical surfaces. Your radar stand should not be kept in the same box with your optical instruments like the lenses, the prisms, because they are likely to scratch the surface of these materials. Now, students, in this session, we learned about the common causes of unsatisfactory performance of optical components in the laboratory. And we also learned how to prevent the causes from occurring and how to care for the optical components. We saw the major causes to be dust, grease, as well as scratches. Now, as we bring this session to an end and an end to Unit 4, let us take this question. Now, state 2 ways of removing dust from a lens. And how does grease appear on the surface of a mirror? And how should a lens be handled? Then finally, what are the effects of a scratch on the image formed by a lens? I hope you enjoyed this session.